Hi, Paul Durso here, and I want to introduce you to our first module in our online class called Mastering the Art of Financial Planning. And today we're going to be talking about a purpose in retirement, or finding your purpose in retirement. A few things that we're going to do before we get there is we're going to quickly talk to you about some of the historical trends in retirement and where they came from and where they are today and the differences. In addition to that, we're going to be going over what your purpose in retirement should be. We're not going to define that for everybody out there. We're going to talk about some helpful hints and thought processes that you could go through to help trigger some events in your head to help you get to a point where you can understand what your purposes are. And last thing we're going to be talking about is 8 keys to retirement success, or at least getting you to a point where you can start thinking about different things. So let's first start talking about historical trends. Where did retirement come from? In the 1930s, that's when this thing called Social Security began. And that's when the word retirement really became reality in America. Because before the 1930s, really early 1900s, even late 1800s, you said the word retirement and nobody really knew what you were talking about. Retire from what? Everybody worked. There was no stream of income before Social Security. The moment you stopped working, you stopped getting money. And then the government created the Social Security program, which, in my opinion, was one of the greatest governmental projects or parts of the government that they ever created. Why? Because it was really funded well. It wasn't until late in the 60s and 70s the government started sticking their hands in that big pot of money that ruined it. But Social Security was created in the 1930s. And then you have in the 1940s, some companies out there started to create a thing called a pension. And we've actually seen the rise and fall of the pension. So we went from having no stream of income in retirement prior to the 30s to having Social Security, and then the next decade, pensions were created. And now went from zero to Social Security and pensions. Retirement was within our grasp. We could retire. So we had a Social Security stream of income, then we had pension stream of income. And by the mid-1950s, we had a huge, almost 10 million people in America that had pension income and Social Security income. And then by the time we hit the 70s, then we created something called a 401k, which most of you out there know very well. Everybody nowadays has a 401k. You'd be hard-pressed to find a major corporation or even a mid-sized corporation that doesn't have a 401k. Most companies in America do. So we have now Social Security, we had pensions, and now we have this new thing called this 401k. And the 401k is really the demise of the pension. Most of you out there watching this video, you probably don't have a pension, or you just missed it when you got hired in at your firm. They've kind of, from the 40s, they've risen. There's this bell-shaped curve, and the vast majority of these companies started creating them, and then all of a sudden, most of these companies started doing away with them. And the reason, in my opinion, is because of risk. Why would I take all this financial burden on this company and have all this pension when I could just give you a 401k? And now you can take all the risk. You have all the financial decisions you have to make, all the investment decisions you have to make. You have to plan for yourself on your own. I'll give you a match. I'll do whatever I can. I'll give you this robust plan, but you have to be the one to take all the risk for your future. So now we've seen the other side of the bell-shaped curve, where most companies have now done away with pension plans, and in light of the fact that we've got these Social Security plans, and these are big, okay? Sorry, not Social Security. We have 401k plans, and these are big in the retirement world today. All right, so let's talk about modern retirement. So we went from really, I would say, the 30s through the mid-80s, where Social Security and pensions were enough. And that was an amount of money that most people could retire and say, hey, this is plenty. I don't have to worry about it. And now here we are, the new millennium. And most of you out there are going, Social Security, as you can see here, only amounts to about 30, if I'm lucky, 30% of my retirement income. I don't even get a pension. Where's the other 70% going to come from? And now you might find yourself in the roughly 80% of Americans out there that are worried they're not going to have enough money in retirement. And this is just a fear-driven society, because I don't know if it's the Joneses and trying to keep up with them or what, but we have this mentality now that we've got this lifestyle and we just need all this extra income. So, which is a big deal. And the vast majority of this course that you're going to go through is going to deal with this concept of retirement planning and mastering the art of putting together a robust plan that gives you the confidence that you can retire without ever having the fear of running out of money, which drives, unfortunately, the vast majority of Americans out there. They're just fearing they don't have enough to retire. So what they do is they go back to work. They go from this, rat race to a part-time or even full-time rat race, just making a little bit less because it's supplemented by their 401k, if they're fortunate enough to have a pension and Social Security, and that's going to be enough to make them retire with some level of comfort. That's not for you, that's not for me, but unfortunately most of Americans out there are doing that, and they might even be starting a business. They might be finding things in their life that they just enjoy, that can make them money, and I'm all about that, and I think that's wonderful. And if you're out there and you can start a business in your garage and turn that garage business into something wonderful, it doesn't feel like work, hey, I think that's a wonderful idea, and I think you should do that. But that's not for everybody. And sometimes people just want to retire and just be done with work because they don't want to work anymore. Now they want to fill it with travel and grandkids and golf and photography and whatever the things that set you on fire, you just want to go do, and you don't want to have to worry about working at all. And that's okay too. So how do you get there? We've got this fear mentality that's just driving us to be scared. There's no way we're ever going to be able to retire. And it's this modern standpoint of retirement. I have to have such a high level of income, and I haven't necessarily done the best job with my assets. How are we going to do that? And again, vast majority of this class, we're going to be dealing with this particular topic, but I want to switch gears a little bit. And I want to talk about what drives you and everybody out there in retirement. I'm going to ask you a couple questions. First question is, should retirement be solely focused on money? Now, just because I'm asking that question, you're probably out there going, well, no, it shouldn't be, but it kind of is. At least for me, I won't be able to retire without money, you might be saying. I mean, most people say that. But the focus of your retirement isn't your nest egg, isn't your Social Security or pension or anything like that. The sole focus of your retirement should be what sets you on fire, what jumps you out of bed, what gets you going, where do you find your excitement? That is a major part of retirement. And we're going to touch a little bit more on that. What type of legacy do you want to leave in retirement? That is a very big question, because most of us have some kids that we've raised. And now you've raised those kids, you might be at a point in your life where you have these even littler grandkids running around, and those are the ones that you look at and go, how can I make a dramatic impact, and what legacy have I implanted in my kids that now between them and us, we can now leave this wonderful legacy and these beautiful little grandbabies. Another question is, do you want to relax in retirement or give back in retirement? How do you turn your past success into future significance? That is an absolute wonderful question, and what you want to do with that is answer that yourself. I mean, every single one of us has something that has made us who we are. Whether it happened in high school, college, your working career, you've amassed a skill set to where you are right now, and how can you take that skill set and pour back into other people? I mean, if you look at some widely successful authors out there and you look at some of the names, you might not realize this, but vast majority of the successful authors in American history or world history didn't start writing until they were 50, 60, some of them 70 years old. And the reason being is they needed all of that past experience and success that they could pour into their writings. And I'm not saying you need to go write a book out there, although that would be a great idea, but how do you pour that into the lives of those around you? Because there's something to be said about fulfillment. And a lot of us work to get a paycheck, but in retirement, a lot of us, or a lot of people, and a lot of our clients work to just pour their lives into other people, and it just sets their soul on fire, and they get so excited They're having more fun. They don't even know where they had time to work because they have just found a passion that drives them in retirement. Dale Carnegie said, "Success is getting what you want. Happiness is wanting what you get." Okay, and let's focus that on retirement. You've saved. You've gotten to your point that you're on the brink or ready to retire, and you've saved all this. Is what you get from that going to make you happy in retirement? Again, back to financial planning. So really focusing on purpose in retirement. What are some things in your life that are truly going to set your soul on fire, refire you from the mundane work environment that you've spent the vast majority of your life in? What's something in your mind? And here's what I'd challenge you to do. Think back to when you were in high school or maybe even college. What were some things? Go get some old photo books. Go get your yearbooks if you're still fortunate enough to have them. Go look at some old videos that you might have or pictures, and just try to put yourself back to where you were when you were under the age of 30, maybe even under the age of 20. And what excited you? Did you love to fix up cars? Did you like to go to movies? I mean, what are some of the things that just fired you up in life that you said, hey, when I get older, I'm going to do this? And then you went to school, you started learning, and you realized, hey, this thing that was so exciting to me, yeah, I can't make money doing that, so I got to go find this career. I got to go get responsible. I got to provide for my new wife and family and get a house and all of these things. And life just got in the way of some of you out there and your dreams. Some of you were fortunate enough to follow your dreams and make money, but that's not the vast majority of you out there. So what are the things that excited you? Can you reintroduce them back into your life and find that joy that you once had now that you may or may not need some income or extra income from that? But again, if you do, we're going to figure out some ways that you can plan around that to still give yourself the freedom to find joy in retirement. You truly cannot retire from something. Statistics state that if you get to a point in your life and you're like, you know what, it's just time, I need to be done, that your retirement longevity is not going to be too long. Because if you retire from something, statistics state that you're going to actually have a very short retirement as opposed to retiring into something. If you retire into something, your retirement is going to be significantly longer than you just saying, I can't do this job anymore, I'm done, I just need to be finished. But if you go from working, whether you're burnt out or not, or just it's the right time, but you dive into something that just gets you excited and is purposeful in your life and finds meaning, you will live significantly longer, whether you've got all the money you need or not. And again, we're going to get to that. The most important thing is that you dive into something that means something very important to you, and you can turn that back into the lives of those around you and those that you love. Okay, so that's the end of this. And again, this is a much bigger part of a much larger course that we just wanted to get your feet wet, your toes wet, of something that we call purpose in retirement for your future. A lot on planning, more to come, but this is the end of the first segment.